that will be focusing on digital transformation of states, facelift to effective governance through emerging technologies, that is artificial intelligence, analytics, IoT, big data, machine learning, and cloud. And we are joined by some amazing speakers from across the country. I would join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Chagti, who is the Special Secretary with the Department of Information Technology, Electronics with the Government of National NCT Delhi, National Capital Territory. He is a bureaucrat of Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram Union Territory cadre. Thanks for joining us, Ajay ji.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Ajay ji has immense experience. He has been working in various fields, promoting technology, information technology and electronics in the field of transport and many other departments. And we are also joined by Mr. Sundar, who is the Special Secretary with the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Had the opportunity to associate and over the years with Mr. B. Sundar, who was also the CEO of eGovernance with the Department of IT, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Welcome, Mr. Sundar.
Good afternoon, sir. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for giving me the
looking forward to hear you. And we are also joined by the Special Secretary with the Department of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of Uttar Pradesh, Neha Prakash ji. She has done some amazing work. I think she has taken this portfolio recently. Would looking forward to hear the initiatives. Welcome, Neha ji.
Thank you so much, Sudheer. Very good morning to all the panelists.
Very good morning. And from the state of Odisha, we are joined by, just a moment, Srimati Kavita Roy Das. She is the Deputy Director General and SIO with the National Informatics Center with the state of Odisha. Welcome, Kavita Roy ji. And
good morning, and thank you for inviting.
Good morning, ma'am. And representing the India, we have Mr. Kshitij Mishra. Kshitij Mishra represents Avaya Group, and he is the Director, Sales Engineering, Avaya India Private Limited, one of the leading IT solution providing IT company that is helping India as a country for in its digital transformation journey. Mr. Kshitij has over 2 decades of experience in the field of IT industry. Welcome, Mr. Kshitij.
Thank you so much and welcome you all. I'm actually humbled and privileged to be with you all. Thank you so much for inviting me on this panel. Please.
Thanks for joining us. And we were also supposed to join by Mr. Aman Arora, who is the Vice President, Business Development Global Infocom, which is one of the IT companies on the forefront providing the cutting edge technology in the various fields, including security, education, health. But he fell ill. We wish him a speedy recovery. He couldn't join us. However, we will be joined by Dr. Pallavi Jain, who is a senior bureaucrat, Principal Secretary, Tribal Welfare and Scheduled Caste Welfare Department, Government of Madhya Pradesh. And we'll also be joined by Mr. G, the team of GT Venkateshwara Rao, who is the commissioner with the eGovernance department, and he's also the managing director for Telangana State and Telangana State Technology Services. So, to begin with, I would request Mr. B. Sundar to please give his initial remarks on the innovations and technology that's being used, the emerging technologies that is being used to transform the governance in the state of Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Sudheer, for giving me this opportunity to once again interact with all of you. The theme, how we are going to use emerging technologies for giving a facelift to everyday governance. long title, but this I think is the sum and substance of the discussion we are talking about. And over the past 2 3 days, after some thought process over this topic, I came up with 2 to 3 broad strands, which I also shared in the WhatsApp. One was one was how does the private sector view the applications of emerging technologies, especially technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT and its cousin industrial IoT, blockchain, and audio and visual reality augmentation. Broadly, 5 to 6 technologies. How are they seeing it in its application to government? Because there are two aspects involved here. One is a blanket application, and the private sector, of course, it is in the game for some profits, and whether the governments of the day, whether in the center or in the states, they are really in a position to handle that kind of a financial load for citizen services. This is number one. The perspectives of the private sector in wanting to partner with the government for e-government in these areas. That is number one. And secondly, from the government side, and in my journey with the IT department and interactions with the IT department of several states and even at the center, our staffing in the department itself sometimes is not up to the mark. We are not in a position to understand the full impact of several high-end technologies in governance. For example, I have been studying blockchain for quite some time. In fact, in 2017, we were toying with the idea of using cryptocurrency for one of our international conferences at Visakhapatnam, held with the government. But even in its heyday, the cryptocurrencies and its application, in a simple application like its usage in a conference for registration fees, for hospitality, for taxi fare, for hotel payments, it was really becoming very difficult. The vendors were few, the merchants were few, and it was very difficult to see points of application in e-government. Similarly, we also had a look at the applications of blockchain in health and revenue records, where some applications in various states have been reported here and there in the media. I again, from my own personal interest, I also teach.
I think there seems to be a technical issue out there.
Am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Sundar.
Yeah, and even in applications of blockchain to land revenue records, we were finding it extremely difficult to see use point and applications in revenue records. And I was also the director of ESD, just like my counterpart GT Venkateshwara sir, who is also slated for today's discussion. Simple technologies like those we develop using PHP, using .NET, and these kind of stable, decade-old platforms, document management, some aspects of high-end software document management where we maintain the repositories, it seems to serve most of the citizen-centric services which we are presently delivering. Both in AP as well as Telangana, we deliver something like 600 e-services to the citizens through kiosks. And it is these simple technologies which are which are really delivering value to both the citizen and the government through little investments. Where and how these high-end technologies are useful to us is a burning question right now. The third aspect, which I thought I should share and set the ball rolling for the panels, is the academic aspect. I also happen to head the International Institute of Digital Technologies at Tirupati. I invite the panelists to take a look at the website, where we offer a unique 12-month program in cybersecurity, a 12-month program in data analytics, and we also are hopeful of starting a 10-month program on industrial IoT. We have partnered with various institutions because it is very difficult to get niche academic partners for these areas. Now, the initial usage and applications of these high-end technologies, I feel, should start from these kind of academic institutions where we prepare a small and stable workforce. And these are the resources who ultimately, after some exposure to technologies, will be able to come out with some use cases and applications in government. We have had that experience in cybersecurity because many of our students who graduate out there have contributed to the Andhra Pradesh Cybersecurity Operations Centers at Jain. Now, these are the 2, 3 remarks which I thought I should share with the panelists and hear their perspectives too. Thank you, Sudheer.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing those inputs, Mr. Sundar. Of course, it is very essential to have a skilled workforce, and what best is starting off with the institutions and academics where these emerging technologies are taught and are very much the crucial part of the syllabus. Now, I would invite Mr. Ajay Chagti ji, and so what are the initiatives that's being taken up, and especially the blockchain technology is being integrated to a larger extent, at what stage it is and how effectively it is being used, and what is the vision in the briefly you can tell us, Mr. Ajay Chagti. If you can unmute the mic, Ajay ji. Yeah.
I hope I'm audible
Yes.
now. Blockchain itself is in a very nascent stage. I would say proof of concept mostly. Large experiments, successful experiments on a scale are yet to be seen in state governments. Certain things need to be set straight first. One is about the standards. How will interoperability be there between blockchain of one state or one organization with that of another? For example, I have a database, I make a database on SC/ST certificates, for example. I do not want any verification procedure of sending letters to the other state government, other district magistrates, and I want reply to come back through technology using blockchain, and which is trusted. So if my blockchain is on a particular platform, let us say Ethereum or multi-chain or whatever, what is the other state having it on? How will they talk to each other? How will the trust be established between these two? This is one aspect. But the benefits, that the probable benefits from blockchain are huge. I will talk of land registry. 2/3 of the court cases pertain to land. And what is the issue? Title. Now, how do we resolve this basic issue? If we are clear, then we can have this on a blockchain and trust will automatically be there. Number of court cases will reduce. Coming back to this supply chain, electronic voting machines, there are innumerable applications, plethora of use cases. But the point is, scale is an issue. For example, if you are talking of financial transactions, as my colleague was pointing out, now Visa, they have transactions per second of, let us say, 30,000, 50,000 per second. That's a huge. If you have a Bitcoin based technology, it will have, let us say, 8 transactions. So that is a huge way to go, a big problem for scaling up. So the governments have to think whether they are going to use blockchain for security purpose essentially, or for chain of transactions. So if we are talking of a chain of transactions, we have a long way to go. But there are ways: security, efficiency, and speed. Simple speed, like from banking system, if you are transferring money from USA, it comes to one country's ledger, another country ledger, another country ledger, or another organization ledger. It takes time, and the administrative cost is huge. In blockchain, this administrative cost is reduced. The intermediary cost is almost nil, and it is here that administration can use these disintermediation. Now, the question is, why do we have a sub-registrar, or why do we have a tehsildar for keeping records? Blockchain can do that. Or in future, we might have smart contracts with making further DAOs, as we say, decentralized autonomous organizations. So the need for centralized authorities, for intermediaries, may not be there to an extent, and the cost will reduce to that extent. So here, the code part of smart contracts has to be such that tampering is not possible, that there is trust. That is the part we were talking of, efficiency, by reducing administrative cost. We have lots of data. We have Aadhaar data, for example. We say it is secured cryptographically, etc. Why not have it on blockchain? Maybe in future it may be cheaper. Maybe the citizen may decide where I can give my data. Citizen may also say, this is my health data, I will keep it on a blockchain. You want it, ask me, I will give you permission to use it. Similarly, governments can save money by having data and sharing it. Now, every department is doing a survey, getting its eligible beneficiaries, data duplication is there. So one department can get it, make it Aadhaar based or blockchain, put it on blockchain, share it with other departments. So lot of deduplication things is possible, and we can have the maximum advantage in terms of administrative efficiency. We may not have it in terms of chain of transactions as of now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay, for giving your initial remarks. Of course, there is very much need to avoid the duplication of the various things. As you said, the revenue and the land related matters. And of course, who is the title is one of the major things that is being dealt with. And one of the biggest states of our country, Uttar Pradesh, I would request Neha Prakash ji to please put forward the innovations, the use of emerging technologies by your department.
Thank you so much, Sudheer. So when we talk about these emerging technologies, I feel that we can leverage the power of these technologies to bring about a society
So meanwhile, since there seems to be a technical hitch out there.
Did I lose connection?
Yeah, now you're audible, Neha ji.
Yeah, so I was saying that these technologies have the potential to bring about societal transformation, but since they are operating in a vastly unregulated space, they also have the power to self destruct. So, even before approaching these technologies, we have to be very sure with the balance of the state sponsored surveillance and the individual data privacy rights. So, the way these systems operate, these systems, they need data to learn and to create a system that can mimic human intelligence. So there are certain things, the data which we give for these systems to train themselves, this data has implication for the people whose data we are giving to the system, and it also has an implication for the algorithms which are being built for these artificial intelligence based systems. So there are some basic groundwork which we need to do even before we start using these technologies on a widespread basis. We need to have our data privacy laws in place. Then we also need the regulatory agencies to understand how these systems operate so that they can frame laws fixing the responsibility for anything which happens, and they'll fix the responsibility that if a system breaches some confidentiality or data privacy thing, then who is to be made responsible. So these are some of the things which we need to have in place. We need to have an ecosystem. This ecosystem needs to consist of the government, the various companies which are operating in these spaces, the regulatory agencies, and all of us have to make a concerted effort to bring all these new technologies in our day-to-day lives. So UP recently came with we came with our startup policy, and in that startup policy we have a provision to create a center of excellence, which will be mostly dedicated to artificial intelligence. We are creating it in Noida, and we are doing it in partnership with IT Kanpur. So that shows the intent and the vision of the government regarding these emerging technologies, and how do we use it to our state's benefit in the future. Now, there are some projects of these emerging technologies. One is the one project we have implemented in the UP prisons, which is an artificial intelligence based surveillance system. So, in the traditional CCTV based system, a lot of human resources are employed, and they do the continuous monitoring of all the live video feeds. But using an AI based software, this software itself detects and monitors the live feed for any unwanted activities. For example, if a fight is about to break in a jail, so the artificial intelligence system will detect if some person has raised his hand, or if he's using his fist to punch someone. So this system saves a lot of the human effort which is required to monitor all these activities. So this system saves a lot of the human effort which is required to monitor all these activities. So this system saves a lot of the human effort which is required to monitor all these activities.
Oh, God, God, God. This is something will we have to deal with when we are largely dependent on the technology. Meantime, Nehaji, there seems to be a technical hitch. We are also joined by the team of Mr. GT Venkateshwara Rao, who from the state of Telangana. From his team, we have Miss Haima.
Hi, Mr. Sudheer. Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Sudheer. So I will be presenting on
I think we can have you present this thing once Neha Prakash ji, we are audible to you. Yeah. Meanwhile, we connect with Neha ji once again. I would request my team to please put on the video of from the state of Telangana. So you can give the initial introduction, Ms. Haima.
Year after year, Telangana has been adjudged as the leading e-governed state in India. As per e-TAL, Government of India, Telangana ranks #1 in per capita e-transactions. What has been setting Telangana apart from its peers is the vision of a truly digital Telangana and its execution under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao and Honorable IT Minister Shri K.T. Rama Rao. The Transport Department is implementing various innovative IT initiatives under the leadership of Honorable Transport Minister Shri Puvada Ajay Kumar. Striving towards this vision, Telangana has started exploring the use of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, big data, blockchain, drones, etc. in the government. Authentication of citizens' identity is a key prerequisite of service delivery by government departments. For example, at airports, security verify the identity of a citizen before allowing them to enter the airport. At examinations, the identity of students is verified before they are allowed for the exam. These examples of identity authentication essentially include 3 checks which are performed manually. First, name on the flight ticket or hall ticket with the name on the ID card. Second, photograph on the ID card with the face of the citizen. Third, which is an indirect check of physically verifying the live person. Let's take the case of services provided by the Transport Department. Say to renew driving license or change address in driving license, citizens are required to visit the Transport Department office, stand in a queue, and submit the application form. The official takes a photo of the citizen and issues certificate after successful verification and fee payment. Even for services which do not require driving test or inspection of vehicle by the department, citizens are made to visit the RTO office only for the purpose of identification and submission of documents. This could be avoided if there is a reliable way to check the citizen's identity and accept the required documents. ITE&C Department of Government of Telangana, after intense analysis, has come up with an innovative solution called Real-Time Digital Authentication of Identity, RTDAI, for an easy, convenient, and correct authentication of citizens' identity through a smartphone without personal presence at the office. Built on RTDAI platform in association with the Transport Department, Government of Telangana, Friendly Electronic Service of Transport, FEST, allows the citizens of Telangana to avail numerous services of Transport Department through a smartphone from their home, anytime, anywhere, without visiting the Transport Department. FEST service is provided through T-App Folio, the eGovernance initiative of Government of Telangana. The citizen needs to submit details such as name, father name, address, DL or LL number, click a selfie and upload the required documents. FEST processes the provided information using a 3-factor authentication by leveraging state-of-the-art technologies. Artificial intelligence-based liveness check to ensure that selfie uploaded is from a live person at that instant and not of a photograph or a selfie taken earlier. This is the most important test since the identification is done remotely. Big data-based demographic check to match names with multiple name variations. Deep learning-based image comparison to match photographs. The technology can handle many variations in the photos. Post-successful 3-factor authentication, the citizen can pay the service fee through a smartphone and avail the service. 5 driving license and learning license services are being made available through FEST immediately. Another 6 DL and LL services will be offered in 15 days. More services are scheduled for release in due course. except for services where a driving test or physical inspection of the vehicle is to be performed. The Transport Department aims to offer all services in a contactless and presence-less manner through FEST. Telangana Transport Department is the first in the country to build this kind of platform, leveraging emerging technologies to provide contactless and presence-less citizen services, making government service delivery efficient, convenient, and transparent. Marching ahead towards its vision of a digital Telangana, the Transport Department and IT/EC Department dedicates the friendly electronic service of transport, FEST, to the citizens of Telangana.
Okay, Mr. Sudheer. I hope the video is clear. And so, as you can see, the ambition and the aim of Telangana is to avoid the physical presence of the citizen at the office, at any government office for that instant. And how do we do it? And that's where the journey of building a technology like RTDAI, real-time digital authentication of identity, has begun. The only identification that connects all the citizens across the country currently is the Aadhaar authentication, but it comes with its own set of challenges, such as the legal implications of using Aadhaar at multiple places for authentication, and also the problem of fingerprints being worn out in elders and the elderly people. So, without using Aadhaar, how do we authenticate a citizen perfectly, accurately, is the question. And this is where a three-factor authentication check using artificial intelligence-based liveness check, and deep learning-based photo check, and machine learning-based demographic check is combined, put together to build an RTDAI. So the most important check in this is the artificial intelligence-based liveness check, because it remotely authenticates a citizen, whether it is the right citizen, whether the citizen is a live person. So the technology uses the light captured from light captured from taking a selfie from a real person, and it identifies between selfie taken of a live person and a selfie taken earlier and a photo being taken. So this is provided to us by a Bangalore-based startup, which is also providing this liveness check for multiple MNCs such as banks and telecom firms. The next check is a machine learning based demographic check, where we can segregate and also find the various variations in names, such as phonetics or abbreviations, such as if we take a name such as K Ram Lakshmi, the name would be written as KR Lakshmi or Ram K Lakshmi, etc. All these variations will be handled with the technology to match, that is the name of the same person. And the last is a deep learning based photographic comparison. As you have seen in the video, the photos which are submitted to government offices are 20 years 25-year old and could be in color or black and white. So all of these variations are handled by this technology, which is provided to us by a global MNC. uh, so this technology, we are also implementing this RTDI solution in RTA department, as we have seen, and also in a flagship program of Telangana government called Pensioner Life Certificate Authentication through Selfie. So pensioners can apply for a life certificate and avail pension, and can get pension directly in their bank account using RTDI. It is available live on our on TAP Folio, which is the eGovernance citizen service delivery platform of the government of Telangana. Recently, we have also used RTDI in launching those authentication, which is degree online services, which is used to authenticate a student based on the data present in the Board of Intermediate Education, which is the +1 and +2 of Telangana department. So after authentication, the student will be eligible for applying for graduation courses online. Again, this has taken prominence in the time of COVID situation, where the citizens or the students cannot come to the physical centers to get themselves authenticated using a biometric device. So wherever there is a need for authentication required, and wherever it can be done remotely and through a few documents being uploaded, so RTDI is being implemented. So if anybody has any questions on this, we'll be
Yeah,
happy to answer.
we'll be taking questions. Thanks, Ms. Haima, on behalf of the Telangana IT department. We'll also have a cross discussion before we take the Q&A at the end. So, dear audience and viewers, we are also joined by a special speaker of ours from the state of Madhya Pradesh. He is a senior bureaucrat with immense experience. Currently, she is the principal secretary with the Department of Tribal Welfare and Scheduled Caste Welfare. She has also served in the Prime Minister's office as a director, contributing her exemplary leadership in various fields, including education. Now, she was also the part of World Bank, and now she's using the same experience for the well-being of in the departments of scheduled tribes and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Welcome, Dr. Pallavi Jain Govil. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sudheer. I'm very happy to be here, and my apologies to the audience for joining in late. Unfortunately, there was a meeting from which held by my seniors, so I had to be there. So I rushed back. It's been very enlightening to hear some of the things today, and I hope I can actually take back more from here. I'm not sure how much will I be able to contribute, but to the best of my ability, I'll be happy to learn from your panel today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We would before we move on to our speaker, let us have a industry perspective from Kshitij Mishra, who is the director sales with Avaya. Kshitij, could you please give in us your inputs on the present session?
Yeah, sure, Sudheer. First of all, whenever I engage with government organizations, not by my job compulsion, but by my choice. It has been many, many years of engaging with government organizations at various levels to really envisage and deliver something that can benefit the nation. So I feel very humbled in front of all elite panelists who come from various background and deliver a lot of visions into reality when it comes to the citizen services through e-governance. So thank you very much, first of all, to invite me over here. Now, what my small experience tells me that government organizations today are far ahead in terms of understanding the changes on the technology landscape and trying to implement it for the benefit of the nation than the private sector is doing. Though the private sector always has to really understand and have enabled staff to deliver those technologies for their benefit. However, government has picked up tremendously in the last 5-10 years, and I could see the technology which are not even talked about in the private sector today has been really put onto the tender documents or project reports or various consultation forms. So first of all, congratulations for that. Second, my small experience tells me that before we really look at the emerging technology and how they can impact the overall e-governance or digital transformation in the government, what essential government organizations are busy with is trying to find out the end state of a department or a service which is being rendered to the citizen. And I think that work has been done very well. Today, if you look at any department, for example, policing, if you look at it, especially in an MP, Pallavi ma'am come from that state. The delivery of emergency services in MP was envisaged 8 years ago. And today, MP is serving its population with the help of Dial 100 or Dial 112, which has been currently working. Yeah. So they somehow thought the end state of the emergency services in the state and took a step which is now currently delivering its services efficiently. So realization of the end state of a government service is must, which government organizations and people like here in the panel have been doing it very, very smartly. Second important thing which comes as a challenge to these organizations or these initiatives is how can the stuff be integrated across multiple departments and the multiple states? As Mr. Ajay Chagti highlighted, and also the similar thing I heard from Mr. B. Sundar, that every service which is delivered to the citizen has got multiple inputs which is required from various departments in the state. So while we create a vision, it is very, very essential for organizations to really integrate those touch points which are must for a service to be delivered effectively. And third very important thing, which I would really think that is very, very imperative for services to be very effective, is how accessible those services are for the citizens. So basically, the end state, the integration points, and the accessibility of these services for the citizens, these are the three key pillars which has to be really put together. Governments are doing fabulous work in terms of making it happen. Then comes the how the latest available technologies can be adopted to really make it happen. And I could see that from what Saima was telling us, that utilization of blockchain for secured and efficient non-temporable transaction across multiple government departments can be achieved by blockchain. There has been work which is going on, and I know a lot of departments who are really trying to fit blockchain as one of the key technology which can enable transactions not only between government and its consumers, but between government to government and government to businesses and government to the employees as well. So all G2C, G2B, G2G, and G2E initiatives can be really work together with the help of blockchain. And then maybe one day I would see Dr. Pallavi's table free of a lot of those paper files, which are currently piled up for her to really visit. Second very important thing is that utilization and consolidating the databases that is available for the government, huge data, and consolidating into a big data lake or a data is a big challenge for government organizations. And I think the way the work has been under progress, this will happen one day. And everything will be linked with one single identity of a citizen. Once that happens, I think government's efficiency to deliver services to citizens will be very, very effective. Third very important point, which touches my heart, that how that services is rendered. I think governments are doing a lot of initiatives, and I will take Telangana's example, that when we were in the COVID situation, Telangana government delivered an e-pass for the citizens and the business people with the help of AI technologies. We participated in that proof of concept, and later we heard that Telangana government has really realized it in a working system. For UP, I would say that UP Dial 112 is working for supporting 2 crores of population with the help of automatic or more responsive emergency response center. In MP, I saw the electricity utility companies actually investing into NLP-based complaint management and complaint resolution system, which basically means that there has been a tremendous effort in terms of choosing AI-based technologies, for example, computer vision for authentication, for example, natural language processing, for taking the customer calls or citizen calls into the government and answering them with the help of minimum human intervention. And then in the back end, really create the one single consolidated database, which can be used for predictability as to what government should do next, and also dashboarding as to how the current services are working. So I think government have been taking a lot of such initiatives, and I appreciate the nationwide governments, be it governments or central governments, who really coming forward, understanding these advanced concepts, as Mr. Sundar said, enabling the resources so that they can really deploy that, and actually taking it to the citizen as fast as possible. Otherwise, such projects 10 years ago used to take 10 years to come. Today, we could see MP Vidyut Vitran Nigam coming up with a speech bot in 6 months time frame. I think that is an amazing thing to happen. you could say in UP, safe city projects, actually looking at surveillance with computer vision, analytics, and trigger-based SOP for support to be carried out in a specific event. I think all those initiatives have been wonderful, and in fact, I feel privileged that whenever I speak to the government officials about any initiative that they visualize, the only challenge they face that data is not consolidated. There is no cooperation from across the state governments how to really bring people together to really work across one initiative. But otherwise, from technology understand point of view, citizen services point of view, I think the whole group is working very, very effectively. That's what my few thoughts around it.
Thank you, Kshitij, for sharing your perspectives and also how various state governments, the Avaya or other connected, are using emerging technologies very effectively. And there's a long way to go, I guess. Before I move on to our next speaker, I would request all our viewers, audience who have joined. We have amazing, a beautiful walkthrough to our expo area where various organizations have put up their solutions, white papers, and how they are helping India digitally transform. You'll have an amazing experience there visiting in the expo area. So before now, I would request our speaker from the state of Odisha, Kavita Roy Das ji, to please give her remarks how National Informatics Center in Odisha is helping and contributing towards transforming the governance in Odisha. Kavita ji.
Thank you, Sudheer, for inviting me to this platform. It is a very good knowledge sharing platform, where from we also took many good things from the other states. So Pan India, 800 NIC offices providing ICT infrastructure, solution and consultation for adoption of newer technologies. NIC has set up Center of Excellences across India for data analytics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and microservices, with focus on leveraging them in the government departments and delivery of services to the citizens. As Mr. Sudheer said, data collected from various government departments has huge untapped potential, such as in planning, policy formulation, implementation, and monitoring of scheme. And Insights clubbed with artificial intelligence can give proactive delivery of service to the citizens. Impact of the COVID on the various sectors of the Indian economy are so huge that perhaps it will take decades for a detailed study. But its social impact is quite visible, and NIC already started exploring the possible technological intervention right from the beginning, may it be Arogya Setu, Odisha Horticulture Marketing, e-office solution, or its Service Plus platform. In the coming days, further technological intervention is also required during the post-COVID era for adapting to the new scenario emerged from this pandemic. More focus needs to be given for cost-cutting technologies so that keeping the citizen satisfaction towards service delivery is the same with highly optimized cost. So technologies like IoT, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, chatbot, robotic process automation, RPA, like technologies are now going to become the necessity to no more luxury. Reducing human intervention and automating the repetitive process is always linked to job loss, but actually it is linked to increase in goods and service delivery with the same number of manpower. Improving service delivery and higher production leads to the better economy and linked with further employment. NIC Odisha is lucky enough that National Data Center Bhubaneswar is providing world-class software-defined data center with self-service and fully automated orchestration layer, which provides cloud computing to all the government departments and public sector units. NIC also came up with its own on-premise video conferencing solution to connect the missing dots between the supply, demand, and security, helping people to stay at home as far as possible and empowering them to work from home with mild sickness which protect the interest of the people as well as state. So e-office is really proved to be a critical need of the time to be deployed in all government offices. Chatbot can multiply the communication capability and efficiency of service delivery when augmented with real human capability, not necessarily replacing humans. NIC Odisha also started providing chatbot service, which can be further explored by Govt of Odisha for the benefit of people. NIC will be happy to be part of such initiative. A cutting-edge technology which is extremely powerful in multiplying the soft production capability is robotic process automation. As you may be aware that many industries are now starting using RPA in their operation to increase productivity. The government also needs to explore the usage of RPA to automate repetitive human intervention operation. Although RPA deployment needs extensive consultancy and involve high volume investment, NIC is eyeing to explore the possible delivery of RPA as a service kind of things using open source RPA technologies. Whatever technology we are discussing till now, maybe data center or RPA or AI or ML or chatbot, all are backed by open source community and to avoid vendor lock-in and reduce cost. Pre-COVID, the perception of the government was to deliver service to the citizens, but during the pandemic, the model slowly changed. Government only became an enabler, like hotspots are being declared based on the data which are voluntarily collected from the citizens through Arigya Setu app. So people are now acting like partners to help the government to deliver better services to them. We knew public-private partnership, but now we are seeing public-people partnership. We need to explore further on this. NIC Odisha is contemplating a futuristic project for smart incident reporting system based on citizen partnership where people can have an app installed in their mobile which is a zero UI app. Zero UI means literally no user interface elements like button and text box in the interface. Whenever a citizen can see something which needs to be reported back to government, like littering or manhole on the road, fallen tree on the road, accident happen, street light which are switch on in the day, so dead animal debris, etc., wrong side parking, poster on walls, etc. So she or he can open the app and focus to be to the point of interest. The app will capture the image, record the time and GPS location, and ask to record the voice before sending to the server. Server will then detect the object inside the image and auto-categorize them according to WWW, that is what, where, and when, to map with other W, that is who. Who is all the responsible authorities involved to address the issues related to the incident captured. This can be proved as billion eyes of the government. So now agriculture is the spine of Indian economy. A real spinal cord has three energy nerves, and similar to that, agriculture also has three energy nerves like seed fertilizer and insecticides. The project e-licensing for agri-input plays a critical role in managing the supply chain for seed, fertilizers, and insecticides in Odisha. India's largest and only sector which has shown growth rate even during the COVID pandemic time, when overall economic compaction was around negative. 24% is the agriculture. So timely delivery of the supplies like quality of seed, authentic fertilizer and effective insecticide to the farmers community has a decisive role in the success, but it could not have been possible in Odisha without the presence of a robust online licensing system which ensures the flow of agri inputs from the manufacturing units till the sale points at village level through an organized chain of seed distributors. While the end-to-end system is made online and visit free from any offices, it takes the government to reach up to business units proactively to render the time-bound service under Odisha Right to Service Act. This project is also one predominant initiative of high-profile 5T program of Government of Odisha. which begs the credit to get 22% more borrowing capacity for government during COVID-19 pandemic for its ease of doing business capability. NIC has developed a project for industrial water consumption and revenue monitoring system, IWCRCM, where IoT, that is DPRS-based devices, working as remote modules that gather data from the sensor-based measuring analyzers, thus compiling, processing, and uploading the data to server along with additional information regarding location, timestamp, and keys added to data to form data packet. Department of Water Resources allocates water to industries and commercial establishments as per the provision of the Odisha Irrigation Act and the Odisha Irrigation Rule. IWCRCM system is implemented in the state to bring in transparency in the procedure of allocation of water and levy, collection of water rate, license fees for industrial or commercial establishments consuming water from government water sources. Irrigation works on groundwater in the state. So IoT devices are used to capture flow meter reading from remote locations. In transport sector, as already Telangana has explained, we have Bahan, Sarathi, e-permit applications and M-Paribahan, e-Salan apps to automate all the services to the citizen, and it reduces physical interventions, time delay for the citizens. When the biometric devices are no more instrumental and work from home is a new normal, then ensuring the officers' presence in the close proximity of the office and taking attendance is a real challenge of the time. Geofencing people with pre-approved geolocation and allowing them to work from home is a demand of the time. NIC Odisha has designed a multi-platform supported mobile app called GeoFace, which provides features like face recognition and face count-based attendance powered by geofencing capability. This is capable to be integrated with already existing HRMS package without hampering the ecosystem or can be deployed out of the box also. This is designed keeping extensively in mind so that user can extend it as per their demand with in-house developers as well. So I think with innovative technology adoption, we can change our approach to our citizen partnership for improved governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kabiraji, to how extensively the NIC is helping the state of government in Odisha with the use of the emerging technologies. We have seen Odisha, we have seen Andhra Pradesh, we have seen Telangana, and also NCT Delhi, and how the industry. We also heard from Kshitij Mishra, how various state governments, including UP. Nehaji, we lost you. Thanks for joining us again. Can you briefly complete your perspective? Then we'll move on to our guest special speaker from Madhya Pradesh. Neha Prakashji, can you resume?
Yeah. Thank you, Sudheer. So I was talking about some of the artificial intelligence-based surveillance systems which we have implemented in UP. One of the system which we have implemented is in the prisons. So all the 72 prisons in UP, the live feed of it is being analyzed by an artificial intelligence-based software. So it saves the human resource which was earlier involved in the live monitoring of all these video feeds. Similarly, we have an integrated mines surveillance system where using the combination of drones with the artificial intelligence software, we can check whether mining is being done in some unauthorized area, or if more than the limit authorized for mining is being done in that mining area itself. So these AI systems have been integrated with vehicle tracking systems and automated checkposts to create a holistic ecosystem for prevention of illegal mining. So these are some of the ways in which the artificial intelligence based software is being used for surveillance. Then we also have a scheme for creating a consolidated database of all the beneficiaries of various departments of Uttar Pradesh. So right now we have a separate beneficiary database for each of the departments. And what we are doing is we'll use Aadhaar authentication and we'll deduplicate this data, and which will help us provide a 360-degree view of a single beneficiary. So we are using data analytics for it. And if we pick out a single beneficiary, we'll be able to see what are all the various government schemes he's taking benefit from. So this is a very important and a very innovative effort to save money being directed to some unauthorized beneficiaries, and it will also help the state in planning for the future and to come out with new schemes which will have a direct impact on these beneficiaries. So these are some of the ways in which emerging technology is being used in Uttar Pradesh.
Thank you very much, Nehaji, for sharing those initiatives and innovations being done in Uttar Pradesh. Now I'll move on to Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Pallavi Jain, who's heading the Tribal Welfare and Scheduled Caste Welfare Department. Ma'am, you have immense experience. You were part of healthcare and health and family welfare department in Madhya Pradesh. You worked with the Government of India, Prime Minister's Office, and also with the World Bank. To what extent you're using your immense leadership and experience for the welfare of these two communities, tribal and the scheduled caste communities, where towards their education and their health, these technology integration of technology.
So, Sudheer, thank you once again for having me on your panel today. I was listening to Kavita ji from Orissa, NIC, and I would like to tell her that e-office was sort of, I was in the team when we were planning it out and working at the Prime Minister's office level, at which they, at their behest, at the behest of the PMO, this was rolled out in the year 2011-12, and that's when I was working on a day-to-day basis trying to stabilize it. And now as a user, I definitely find it has improved a lot. And as Kshitij mentioned, I wouldn't have these files here if I wasn't sitting here. They would have all been done before this. Anyhow, so it's very interesting in the Tribal Welfare and Scheduled Caste Department, and what I'm going to say. I will not be talking about enabling technologies, but I'll be giving you a counter perspective. So while there's a lot of exciting technologies available, let us also be aware as technology leaders, as technology implementers, that technology is now also can have the potential to be the new divide. So the communities which I am dealing with, for whose benefit, for whose inclusion, for whose progress, this department is working with, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities, they have been traditionally the marginalized communities for a host of everyday things. Whether we talk about access to healthcare, we talk about access to education, we talk about access to higher education, we talk about access to livelihoods, we talk about access to markets, we talk about access to information. So that's why these communities are called the marginalized communities. And governments have actually, when you talk about inclusive development, sabka saath, sabka vikas, this sabka, the people whom we have to be really, really, it's a challenge to reach technology to and to get the benefit of technology to, is this community. And the way they are placed, so for example, the scheduled tribe communities, they are mostly forest dwellers or people living on the fringes of forest areas. And in Madhya Pradesh, it is 23% of our population. So 1/4 of our population is tribal. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes together count for more than 40% of Madhya Pradesh populations. Now, if you look at the placing of schools, you will find that the school is placed in a situation, in a big panchayat, the primary school and the middle school, where it is very hard for the habitation of the scheduled caste people to access that school. So we are, for us, it is still a challenge to get the accessibility to basic services to these communities. Now, let me tell you the use of IT. When I was in the health department, I was here for about 4 years, and we rolled out the ambulance system, and we have a very fine, one of the best in the country, the National Health Mission has judged us, system of ambulatory services. All ambulances are GPS enabled, and our response time, which is targeted at 30 minutes, is now around 21 minutes, averaging for the whole state. We found that we did a study of the gray areas or the shadow areas, because since we do not have the telephony network, the telecommunication network, we do not have wireless network, we do not have 2G, 3G, 4G network in a lot of these forest areas, we find that we are not getting calls emanating for the ambulatory services from certain villages again and again. So now we are trying to find systems through which we are able to better place ambulances, that the reach to these ambulances can be faster for the communities which need them. In the pandemic time, when the education department rolled out various modules of e-learning, again we had a problem, because our children, living as they are in the forested communities, living as they are in areas where the smartphone availability is limited, where internet communications are really patchy and slow, how do we get to these children these new technologies of learning where they can participate effectively? So these remain the challenges to which we have to be acutely aware of, and these remain our ongoing challenges. And while a lot of the presentations, which have happened before me, and very often the IT department sits with us, and we have also implemented. So, for example, the tribal department in Madhya Pradesh, to give you the example of how IT has helped governance to a large extent. The department is fully automated, so students sitting in their homes can log in with their caste certificate number. So what Neha mentioned from UP about a single database, we have that in Madhya Pradesh for the last 7-8 years. It's called Samagra, and it was taken up as a national best practice by the Ministry of Information Technology in Government of India to replicate elsewhere in the country, whereby every citizen and all the services rendered to the citizens is on that one platform. And so we are able to understand who is the entitlement based becomes a rights based. So the entitlements under a certain scheme are given a rights based approach so that we do not lose out anybody. So you can easily log in from your kiosk. You can fill in your Samagra ID, and with that, the range of services which you are eligible to get, that is available to you. So students can get their scholarships logging in from their villages. They don't have to come even to the school to avail those services. And we are able to analyze the amount of time taken from the login of the student to the approval of the scholarship, and at what level is it pending, how long is government taking to release the funds, when is it getting credited to the bank account of the student. All these things are simple analytics which are now available at our disposal. So again, another concomitant scheme, which is that of the primitive tribal groups. So the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, there are some groups in the tribal communities in the country, of which Orissa and Madhya Pradesh have a large number. Jharkhand, Orissa, Madhya Pradesh have these particularly vulnerable tribal communities. We have 3 who are very shy, which are very shy communities. They don't come out in the urban areas. They don't come out to seek public services. So we do a direct benefit transfer to them on a monthly basis, to the woman of the household. And the direct cash transfer happens through the accounts. Now, this was earlier done in a physical manner. How these can be easily transferred by using existing technologies. There's nothing new development happening. It's just using an already time-tested technology, and analytics can come in to ensure that these women get their money timely in their accounts, that they are able. Now we are extending that further with the use of banks and the postal bank service to ensure banking services to be digitally available in these villages which do not have a bank center, a banking center. So that's an ongoing work. And another example which is extremely relevant to providers of IT services is the Forest Rights Act. Many of you may be or may not be aware that forest communities have traditional rights over their forest lands. So it's a usage right, it's a community right and an individual right. So if you are a forest dweller and you have been using forest lands for for cultivation, you can continue to enjoy those rights, and it is your duty to protect the forest, and therefore understanding the responsibility of the citizen and particularly forest dweller. Now, this act came about in 2006, and since then, nearly 3 lakh forest dwellers in Madhya Pradesh were given forest rights. Over time, there were a lot of grievances, and when we understood that some of them may have been rejected, some claims which need scrutiny again. But in this time, in these 10, 12 years, technology had progressed to such an extent that now it is possible for us to be much better in this dispensing of technology. So using a partnership with another organization, with another state, we used existing technology, customized it, and now a forest villager can go to any public kiosk, log in, put in a claim. The forest community has been given simple PDAs. They go inside the forest, they make the polygon mapping of the land, the parcel of land, which takes the GPS coordinates, and then when the forest right is then examined at every level, from the village level to the subdivision level to the collector level, that data is available in the smartphones and the PDAs given to the community, and then at every level, and they're able to see all the documents. Now the forester is secure that no document is going missing. It's all been recorded. We are able to better analyze what claims are not being heard at what level, and we are able to give better monitoring and evaluation of the work which is being done at the field level. As a result, the satisfaction of the people has tremendously increased, because for years they are cultivating the land, they get fined, sometimes even thrown out of that land because they don't have the rights which are enacted by the Parliament of India, which they should be getting. And then you spoke about AI as well as chatbots, my earlier panelists. Now again, these are evolving for us, especially in this department. And as works departments, irrigation departments, infrastructure works departments, these departments which have a lot of planning, when they take, so some of the departments are eminently capable of taking up technology for implementation of their projects. Excuse me. Departments like mine are actually a much bigger challenge for technology providers to understand how to build in inclusive platforms to reach the last mile.
Yeah.
And I can see, well, I missed the name. I'm sorry, I logged in late. Team GT Venkateshwara. So I can see you nodding that, yes, this is a group. So I would request all my colleagues who have joined in today that whenever we're talking about a technology-enabled new scheme, please remember Gandhiji's talisman. Think of the person last in the line of command, in the chain of command, even in the consumer centric business that we are coming in, that how do we benefit that person? How do we make, for example, our technology which can work offline? And how can that, that offline capability help in reaching those areas where internet may not be available still? We are very buoyed by the idea that what the Prime Minister has announced, that within the next 3 years, internet will reach all these villages. Currently, around 40% of the villages in Madhya Pradesh still are waiting for high-speed internet access. And these are all majorly the ones which my department is serving. So I would just like to wrap up by saying that I am a learner. I'm in my generation, the technology boom came about, and we had to really jog on our feet to keep abreast of technological developments. The new generation has been born with that technology. Their genetic makeup is to quickly use, imbibe, and and use the technology. But then, as we're developing it, please be aware of the communities for whom we are working, for whom we need to work that extra mile and work harder.
Thank you, Pallavi ma'am. Actually, you have set the context of further discussion. As you have rightly pointed out that these emerging technologies and technologies for the communities like scheduled tribes and scheduled castes, it might create a divide. But however, the same technology is being used to deliver certain services to them very well. Now, Mr. B. Sundar, who is the Special Secretary with the IT Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh government has been the pioneer. Government of Telangana has also been pioneer in using of technology. Mr. Sundar has pointed out the cost effectiveness of these technologies that can be integrated in this department. And we also have Kshitij on the industry perspective side. I would request Kshitij, how can it can be taken to the next level, and there can be a inclusiveness even in to these communities who are shy or not accessible to this technology.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Dr. Pallavi. To put one very important things in perspective is that how can it reach to the last person who is still underprivileged in terms of utilization of the technology or maybe the knowledge of the technology. And I think one of the very, very important thing that I personally believe, and I always taken this message forward, that no matter what, even today, more than 850 million people use a phone of whatever society they belong to, whatever economical status they belong to, they still have a phone, and which is very, very positive thing to have. Can we really utilize that phone to do maximum thing possible? And I think one of the key technology which is helping, or rather it's emerging as a great help in this particular perspective is and AI is one branch called natural language processing, which means that if we can enable a government service with the help of natural language processing, which is multilingual in nature, because one of the challenge of our land is that every 30 kilometers there is change in the language. Can we really render certain services without any human intervention, without having mobility, or without even having internet at this particular moment? And the answer is yes. And a lot of government initiatives, especially in MP, have been trying to really use and see whether it works or not. If we can enable at least frequently asked questions or the complaint registration or a form filling, and lastly the status update proactively with the help of the simplest possible phone call, I think this will actually reach out to the places and people what Dr. Pallavi was talking about it. And governments have really started looking at it, that particular stream of technology, which is called natural language processing with multilingual Indian dialect across, that can make it possible. And a lot of Indian startups, including Avaya here, though we are an MNC, but we are helping Indian local technologies to really embed their engines within our solutions in a way that a simple phone call can respond with the positive answers without any questions, like even the finger, that touchpad, a keyboard to be pressed. It's like a machine like Alexa and Google nowadays talks in English. That support can be provided to them for a specific government services in that sector. So that is something in the nutshell, considering the
Yeah.
time that we have. I would say that NLP can take us to the places and the people which Dr. Pallavi has
Yes.
rightly highlighted today.
There is a
That sector
need
has to get
to
done.
plug these gaps and to reach out to the last mile. In the
Oh, yeah.
interest of time, I would request, I would like to take the 1 minute perspective and the reactions. Mr. Sundar Balakrishna has raised this cost effectiveness, and Mr. Sundar, you have been also the CEO of eGovernance. Now you are the Special Chief Secretary with IT Department. Given your experience, uh, you can tell us about this, the challenge that's being faced to take it to the last mile. Also, the
Yeah,
infrastructure, IT infrastructure.
yeah. Thanks, Sudheer. We had a 360 degrees view from various panelists. I have one concluding remark to make. Way back in 2014-15, when our state bifurcated into the Telangana state and AP state, uh, I made an analysis of how much IT and IT enabled services contribute to the gross domestic product. And when we had Hyderabad, the United State of AP had Hyderabad, our contribution, the ITs and IT enabled services all put together, the contribution was around 0.32% of the state GDP. That is, the IT and ITS sector contributes less than half a percent to the state's gross domestic product. Now, cut back to 2019 2020 figures. And then again we analyzed. 4 or 5 years we had a slew of technologies coming in AP, in Visakhapatnam, in Vijayawada. We used quite a lot and with varying impacts. And when we analyzed this again, I was surprised to find that the contribution of IT and IT enabled services was 0.18%, that it is still reduced. That is, the more and more technologies we are using, they are not creating new goods and services, but of course they are contributing to efficiencies. This is something which we need to keep in mind when we have to distribute and allocate state resources for inclusive governance as pointed out by Pallavi Madam. Now, with this remark, I will leave the floor open for others to pitch in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sundar Balakrishna. I would like to take a brief concluding remark from the state of Uttar Pradesh by Neha Prakashji to this particular point.
Definitely, I agree with Pallavi ma'am, and ma'am has really said a very eye-opening thing for us, that the aim of technology should be for the benefit of the people. And whatever technology we implement, we have to make sure that it reaches the most neediest of the person. And therefore, technology does not always need to be very complex to make an impact. Even very simple technologies can make a very big impact. And in UP, one of the very simple IVRS based technology, the CM helpline, that is making a very big impact even in times of this COVID crisis. And we are using this CM helpline to reach out to people and to reach out to all the common man with the schemes of the government. So I definitely agree that this technology has to be implemented with a vision, and there has to be a seamless regulatory infrastructure also to create a common platform for all the rules which these technologies have to abide by. And this is especially in the case of these emerging technologies, because we need to have a proper ecosystem and a proper framework, proper architecture in place on which these technologies can be hosted. And I will again repeat that data privacy is one of the major issues for these emerging technologies. And because all these technologies work on data, so we have to think about how we are going to store data, how we are going to feed data to these technologies. So with these remarks, I would like to thank all the panelists for their wonderful comments.
Thank you, Nehaji. Now, I would like to take a 1 minute brief concluding remark from the Special Secretary from Delhi NCT, Ajay Chagti ji.
Thank you once again. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Emerging technologies we are focusing on, but we cannot see in isolation. These are interlinked. For example, if it is AI, it is blockchain, it is cloud, it is big data, all these are interlinked. So whenever we have to make a vision, whenever we have to plan, we have to link all these things. Now, the most important sectors for these are education and health. Thirdly, we have to think in terms of giving individual attention. We have to take it doorstep, like something like a doorstep delivery of services. We have been talking of services. We can take education and health with the help of AI, blockchain, IoT, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay ji. Kabita Rai Dos ji, would you like to 30-second concluding remark? Could you give on this? Would you can you unmute your mic, please?
Yeah, actually, cost relates to infrastructure and other resources, maybe manpower, technology, etc. Okay, so now technology has come up with such a vast parameter that we can have a low code or no code platform also for developing a software, and all the technologies that we are talking about, it can be backed by open source technology, open source community, which reduces the cost. So cost, and also whenever we are going ahead, we cannot sideline our technology, or we cannot go we cannot leave behind. So we have to go along with that. So we have to see what is our long-term benefit. So long-term benefit, and also what the cheapest or the most effective technology we can take for our governments or service delivery. And now we have seen that in NIC, the Service Plus is a platform for adapting this citizen-centric or any other services to the in the governance, let it be G2B, G2G, G2C, etc. So we have this service platform where no programmers needed, no technology person can be hired. So with this platform, we can in a 7-day we can we can define a service like that. And this all those this other open source technology also we are adapting. So we have to see, and we have seen the benefits also. We have to take about talk about the benefits, what end-to-end technology adoption, how we are benefited. So this is my say, actually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kavita Roy ji. With this, we had an amazing discussion. I would like to thank Pallavi Jain ji, Principal Secretary from Government of Madhya Pradesh, and Mr. Sundar Balakrishnan, who is Special Chief Secretary, Andhra Pradesh, Ajay Chagti ji, Special Secretary, ICT Delhi, Kshitij Mishra from Avaya Group, and the team from Telangana, GT Venkateshwara Rao ji, Neha Prakash ji. I thank all the audience who have joined us for the day 2. It has been an amazing session. One platform, more than 75 speakers from across the globe, from the policy making and also from the private sector. With this, we would move on to our next. I would request all the audience to join for the next session. With this, I thank all the panelists who have joined us and made this session very enriching and informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudheer.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.